Coin lovers of the world, welcome. Sam Spiegel over here. I'm Cris Bierrenbach, and we're here to do one of our chats that we have about the current state of the world and ancient coin market. We're very happy to be here. It's been a while since we did one of these. I think the last one, Sam, was in September, it looks like. And of course, a lot has happened over the last several months. And so we're going to cover some topics during this next 40 minutes or 45 minutes or so. The first big topic, of course, that lots of people are talking about, Sam, and you've done lots of research, of course, is tariffs, right? And how these tariffs that are being announced basically seems like on a weekly basis for the last few weeks from the U.S. government. How will that impact us? So we're going to talk about that to start in a little bit. Then, of course, we've had our January New York International Coin Auction, our one of the premier events of the year, a very important event for us. We're going to cover that and discuss lots of big results, some records being broken. It was a very interesting and exciting event. The third topic we'll be addressing, of course, is gold. And that seems to be going up and up now for a while.
Year to date, something like that
already.
Yeah.
And with no end in sight, seems like a correction is due, but maybe not. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And a couple more things. And of course, cryptocurrency that now is increasingly a more important ongoing theme on our conversations here at Heritage, with an ongoing and an increasing number of lots to our sales and dedicated sales. Very interesting, of course, the Otto collection also, headlines that category for us. And then finally, we'll close with the outlook for the year, what we think is different. There's some changes going with coin shows and things of the nature, and sort of the social aspects of our hobby, and we're going to discuss about that. So, Sam, why don't you, that are probably have got more questions about this than anybody, why don't you start and discuss a little bit about the tariffs that are coming?
Where to start with that? As you know, and maybe some people watching know, I'm the head of the Free Trade Committee of the International Association of Professional Numismatists, the IAPN, which is sort of the international trade organization. And so naturally, in that capacity, I've been watching very closely what's happening with the tariffs, and a part of many conversations among our executive committee and other dealers who are in similar positions to us, in that we're going to be impacted regardless of what happens with the tariffs,
right?
For better or worse. We just need to stay on top of what's happening to make sure that we're doing things the proper way, and that our clients are educated on what is going to happen.
So this started with China, let's say in 2019. So what happened there?
Yeah. So the United States for decades and decades enjoyed free trade on almost all imports, meaning you can bring them into the United States, no import, regardless of where they're coming from. Then in 2018, 2019, for coins, it started in September 2019. In the first Trump administration, tariffs went into effect on all Chinese-made coins. So at first it was 15%, then it was changed to 7.5%. And then as of the new tariffs from a week or 2 weeks ago, there's an additional 10%. So all alt items of Chinese origin are subject to 17.5% import tariffs now. And then since 2022 as well, Russian-made coins and pretty much all items of Russian origin have been subject to a 35% tariff on import to the United States.
Right.
And so we've talked about this before, especially in the context of our Hong Kong auctions and sort of how we navigate around that. And then earlier this month, as probably all of our listeners are aware, the Trump administration threatened tariffs against Canada and Mexico.
Actually imposed them for a day before announced it for a day, and then
they announced it, and then hours
postponed
before it was supposed to take effect. They issued a 30-day reprieve. So right now, it's still the status quo. The only tariffs on coins are China and Russia. And then come March 1st or early March, we'll see if a larger trade deal is struck. to keep them exempt.
Why don't you talk a little bit about like country of origin and country of manufacturer and all of that stuff and how that's different, because there seems to be some confusion.
Yeah. So this is probably the most common source of confusion or question that we get from clients.
Yeah.
What does it apply to? And I saw a lot of misinformation or underinformed opinions being posted online about how this applies. So I can clarify for our listeners what this actually means. So the important thing to keep in mind is the tariffs apply to country of origin, not country of export. And so I'll repeat that because it's that important. It's country of origin, not country of export.
Where it was made, not where it's coming from.
Country of origin is country of manufacture.
In this case.
So in the case of coins, it's where it was actually struck. When we're talking about nature and science, like gemstones, diamonds, things like that, that's the country of mining, right? That's what determines where it comes from. So this is an important nuance that gets lost on a lot of people. And so you can have, for example, a Chinese coin that is in the United Kingdom. I
got it. Go ahead.
All right, thanks. So you can have a Chinese coin that is currently in the United Kingdom, has been in the United Kingdom for 100 years, and it'll be subject to the tariff because it was made in China. Alternatively, you can ship a non-Chinese coin out of China to the United States, and there won't be any tariffs assessed on it. And so this comes into play with coins regularly because sometimes the issuing authority isn't the country of manufacture. So you're familiar with the Cuban coins produced in the early 20th century. 1915, 1916,
made
20
at
pesos.
The Philadelphia Mint.
Exactly. They were made at the Philadelphia Mint, even though they say Cuba on them.
Yes.
Now, all items of Cuban origin have a complete embargo in the United States. So you can't import Cuban coins to the United States unless you have diplomatic immunity and all of that stuff.
Which doesn't apply.
But if you're importing those early 20th century Cuban coins, as far as a customs perspective is concerned, they were produced in the United States.
They're American coins.
They're American coins, right? Even though they were produced for Cuba. And you see that a lot in other countries. Like in Great Britain, they produced a lot of coins for other countries around the world as part of their empire, or just they're contracted by other countries to use their minting facilities. And so what that ultimately means is that you have to be aware of the mint. In our descriptions, we always put what the mint is, that where the coin was produced. And that's what matters here.
And I think what's important also is, and I'll be holding the mic. It looks like Sam's mic is not working, but the important thing is like we'll help our clients navigate these things as necessary. I mean, we have specialists there. We have, customs brokers. We have people who work with logistics and are paying attention to these. We have customs attorneys and all of this. So we're able to make sure that things are done within the rules always, and help our clients navigate these issues with the least amount of problems.
Right. And so to that point, the question is, how do we handle these tariffs? So the way it works with China is if we have a Chinese coin that is sourced internationally, regardless of where it is in the world, we route it through our Hong Kong office, and then we ship it to the US on temporary import bond. So what this means is that we can bring it into the United States with a declaration that it's going to be re-exported within 3 years' time. That's the time frame. Really, it's 12 months, and then you have to reapply for up to 12 months 2 more times to qualify for temporary import bond. As long as we re-export it within that time frame, we won't be assessed the tariffs. And so when we sell these coins, since the vast majority of them are being sold to Hong Kong, China anyway, we bring them into the United States to be cataloged and photographed and processed as part of our, essentially factory here, get everything through. And then we handle fulfillment through the Hong Kong office. After the Hong Kong auctions that we have in June, December, and then the showcases in the spring and fall, we'll leave those invoices that have those internationally sourced Chinese coins in the Hong Kong office. And so occasionally those lots are bought by American clients, and we want to make sure that they know what the situation is. And so we'll put a notification on each lot page. Tommy, I think I sent you a link to that.
Clear descriptions that
for the sake
tariffs
of
may apply.
Yeah. So here's a great Chinese coin we sold in the December auction. Scroll down a little bit on that page, Tommy. And then you can see below the description, you'll say note. Yeah, exactly. Right where your cursor is. This was sourced in China, this was sourced from outside the United States after September 1st, 2019. We need to update the language. I have a ticket in place from 7.5% to 17.5%. But that way our clients know what they're getting into. So the big question is, what would we do if there are new tariffs on coins from other countries like Mexico or Canada, which almost became a reality? And there's conversations about the European Union and other countries around the world. So we would do the same thing that we're doing for Russian coins right now if they're sourced internationally, which is we'll sell them through the Hong Kong office in one of those Hong Kong venues. And so then you only end up paying the tariff if you buy the coin and take delivery in the US. That's one of the benefits of being an international auction house, is that we can pivot and lean on the foreign offices as need be based on whatever the new regulations are. It sounds daunting, but really this is nothing that our foreign clients aren't used to.
VAT.
Yeah, exactly. So as I said at the beginning, Americans have enjoyed free international trade for decades. And so they're not used to paying an import duty. They're used to paying a sales tax if they buy and sell something locally, but not an import duty. Whereas our friends in Europe, for example, are used to the VAT system where depending on the country, they pay a fixed amount, just a percentage of the declared value, whether it's 6%, 9%, 5%, 15%. It varies by the country, but they just build that into the price that they're willing to pay.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, what it means is that if the tariffs go into effect, it could result in lower prices.
Yeah.
Because people have to factor in the price of tariffs, and it's just a layer of friction.
An added fee, essentially.
Yeah. Just sales, similar to what sales tax is.
Correct.
And maybe there'll be exemptions for collectibles or rare coins. In the European Union, we've talked about this before, they have an exemption for investment gold.
That's right.
And so,
which is quite inclusive of a lot of coins.
Right. It's inclusive, and it doesn't apply to, it applies regardless of the sale price. So if something is a rare coin, but is still listed on the investment gold list, so that
it sells for 10 times melt.
Yeah. It's still VAT free. So the customs agents aren't having to do, calculations themselves or whatever.
Right.
It's just, if it's on the list, the protected list. So anyway, that if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are well versed in this and are watching it like a hawk every day, how things are changing. Hopefully we can continue to enjoy, free, easy trade, but if the regulations change, then we just have to play by the new rules.
We'll adapt, and we'll make sure that, that our audience, all our clients, our friends are in sort of up to date as well. So let's move on to more fun stuff. The New York International Auction that closed, I say just 3 weeks ago or so. And, we had our traditional platinum night and 3 standalone sessions that took place. We also took many of our showcases and the Auto cryptocurrency sale to New York for lot viewing. But, it turned out that this was our biggest, not only our biggest New York International sale, but our biggest ever, 25 million in total. And I think one of the notable things about this auction is how well curated it was. At the end, even with those 3 standalone sessions, our total of lots were under 1,000, I think. 1,690. So under 1,000 for platinum nights, and with those 3 standalone sales, the total was 1,600, about 1,600 lots, and that's quite a fraction of the traditional numbers they used to have. If you were following us or participating in our auctions 10 years ago, or even more recent, our New York's catalogs were this thick. With 6,000 plus lots. There were very tiring events. And these sales now are much more curated. I got even confused by the number because the sessions were so divided and smaller. I mean, we had, a session that was 100 lots or 200 lots, and this makes it, it makes the auction much more attractive, I believe, from the bidding perspective, because these sessions are, now there's so much bidding activity going on live. The sessions really need to be better curated. So, so as the audience doesn't lose focus on what's important. So,
how have we been able to do that? Make it so curated?
Yeah. So the curation essentially is we're allowed to do that and have the higher ends, the creme de la creme lots in these events because of our showcases. A lot of the items that we see, important coins that we see in the thematic showcases across the board, from A to Z on the themes that we see there in the spotlights, they would have been in the New York catalog 10 or 8 or even maybe as recent as 5 years ago. And now they just have a better venue for them. A $5,000 French colonial, interesting coin highlights itself way better in a French colonial showcase than it does in the middle of these platinum night, 50,000, 100,000, or these auctions that had, thousands of lots around them. So that's what it has allowed us to move in that direction. We've come a long way, obviously. I don't know if, I'm sure you guys are paying attention, but this year we had 100 plus showcase auctions. I mean, there's 2024 this past year. I mean, we're probably on our way to have 100 more in 2025. I hope, maybe more. But this is greatly allowed us to cater to all the different collecting audiences, all the collectors out there that prefer to, that match their themes, the themes of the sales that are taking place. So it's very exciting to us. It's exciting to have a $25 million sale with, $1,600 lots.
Just to give you some perspective on those showcase auctions, last year we had 100 showcase auctions that realized about $30 million total. As recently as, 2017, we had 4 showcase auctions that year that realized less than $400,000. I mean, sometimes we have like a single week that has more than that. Now. And so that we've really leaned on that, and the market has responded. It's clear that, curated auctions are the way that people want to engage with their collecting.
Yeah, I mean, the pace has changed quite a bit too. I mean, auctions years ago were much faster because the book,
150 lots an hour.
Yeah, because everybody just, people used to bid on the book. They weren't used to bidding live. And I think the Heritage IT team and project management at Heritage has, great responsibility on this, because they've made everybody so comfortable with using our live bidding platform that now our pace really, if and we're going to some of the results from New York here in a second, but the pace of the sales now, best case scenario is really, it's like 60 to 70 lots an hour, maybe 80 on a good day. And that's because there's just too much bidding. And we love that. And we will never slow an auction down or speed it up if there's bidding going on.
So you want to talk about some results?
Yeah, I'll start. Of course, the Gatsby collection. We'll start with the collection, the greatest collection, a complete collection of South Africa coinage, all the major rarities, including this one on the screen. Of course, the greatest trophy of African numismatics, and now a world record for the most expensive African coin ever sold. Just a little over 2 million there. The world famous single 9 pond.
What makes that so special?
So of course, I mean, what makes it special there is that single 9. Otherwise it is a similar looking 1898 point as everybody else, but of course there was only one that got that overdate. Of course, there was the double 9 after that, and then they continue to strike pawns after that. But of course, this is unique, and we were extremely honored to have presented this to the audience and have gotten this incredible result. I thought, this exceeded my expectations by a lot, and I'm very happy for our consignor and his family. about this result. So, and then of course we had Sam. Why don't you talk about this 6 rubles?
Yeah. So we had 3 standalone collections in New York: the Red River Trove, the Gatsby collection, which you just talked about, and then the Eternal collection, which this was the top lot from the January portion of that sale. And so we had this fantastic 1845 platinum 6 rubles, which that series is very popular because, platinum coins are so unusual
Scarce,
for production.
Yes.
And it's such an iconic type. It's collected worldwide as a type coin.
Yes, a trophy type. For
exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
And that exactly describes the Eternal collector.
Yes.
So this is someone who has spent literally decades putting together, I would call it just a trophy collection.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, the Cape Coral collection, that collector was putting together trophy coins, but focused just on crowns. For the Eternal collection, it was just the best
or
coins
specific countries.
Yeah.
And the Eternal collector sort of was really broad. The only common theme was always, so of course, the outstanding quality.
Mm-hmm.
And if you scroll down on the pictures a couple of times, Tommy, just to see that slab photo,
the second
the certified, on that. So that, of course, is the holder of the Eternal collection, which, by the way, we'll sell the second part in August.
We'll have some more selections from it in June of the Japanese and Thai coins.
That's
the Asian
correct.
coins.
Yes.
And then part 2, which the next standalone portion is Latin America.
Yeah.
Right. Latin America at the ANA in August. And then part 3 is going to be Western Europe. Right.
In New York, 2026, Germanic Europe. Yeah.
Great Britain and Germany.
Yeah. So lots to come there. Lots of beautiful coins. This was just the first part. And this was one of the 100 or so coins that we sold from the Eternal collection. That was it's a joy for the team to see these coins. Some of them we had seen them before, some of them we hadn't, but every single one of them was just a special item. The next one, I think you should talk about also the Caligula, of course, which was an incredible result for that Aureus.
Yeah, love this result. So this is not only a world record result for a Caligula Aureus, any type, but it was the most expensive ancient coin sold at the New York International of any auction company. This one was actually sold raw in 2020 by NAC for around 300,000 hammer. And then our client held it. The market has obviously appreciated in that time. He got it graded by NGC, who recognized how important it was and graded it MS star. And ultimately, there was a ton of activity on it, up to around 300,000 or 400,000, and then there were a couple of people just in a real fight for it, up to 600,000 all in.
Just a fantastic piece. I mean, does one better than this exist?
I have not seen one better than this. Tommy, if you scroll down to the NGC census, scroll down a little more, give it a second to load there, but we can see what the NGC census actually says about this. Because, we had a strong result for a Caligula Aureus, that one right there. The previous prices, we sold an AU Caligula Aureus for 216,000 in November, and that was a great price. I love that result.
Just 2 months prior.
Yeah, just 2 months. And this one is a mint state star, and you can see it's the only one graded MS star in that pop report. And what I want to emphasize there is just how much marginal condition matters. So it goes from a nice AU coin to a mint state star, which really is 2 ticks on the grade point scale, where it's AU to choice AU to mint state. It has a star for great eye appeal, and it's 3 times the price. The type is a little bit different as well. The other one was a Agrippina reverse, I believe, and this one's Divus Augustus. But nonetheless, this if you're putting together a collection of the best 12 Caesars in gold, this is it for Caligula.
Can do better. I'm not surprised there's actually that many in the census already, which speaks a lot to the evolution of ancient coin grading. I mean, there's already 70 coins certified, and like you said, I mean, what that ruler, what that table allows for our clients to do in every single lot that they're looking at is really to find that condition rarity. And this is critical
Yeah.
to get, to get higher prices realized for our consigners, because it really gives perspective to the bidder and relevant information. Whereas if the coin is not, if they don't have that ruler because the coin is not certified or for whatever reason, or the company doesn't provide that kind of information, it becomes much harder for them to make a maximum bidding decision, or they would just come to Heritage from wherever they're bidding and get their information from us.
Yeah.
But this is why this is so critical.
Do you want to talk about the Una and the Lion we had?
Sure, of course. The Una and the Lion is always a good barometer for the market. I mean, we get a lot of the, it's a coin that is perhaps the most popular world coin in the world, I could argue. Beautiful design, of course. Who doesn't love the queen standing there with that scepter, with that beautiful lion? It's good bellwether. I mean, we have enough of these frequently enough. It's a big, expensive coin that ranges from $200,000 to $500,000 in the last few years, but it's a good measure of how the market is doing. So this one realized an all impressive $212,000, as we see there. And we can see in the previous price grid a little bit further down there, Tommy, that in May, we sold another 62. It's going to load here in a second. We sold, that first result. We sold a 62 in May for 288, and then a 62 in December before that, 276. Those are apples to apples comparison, I think, to this one coin, although this one has a plus in the grading. But it sort of shows that market is steady, that these coins continue to have strong demand. If we scroll down a little bit again, Tommy, just to see the numbers there of how many of these. I mean, we're talking about a $300,000 coin that in the pop report. I mean, that pop report. So 25 PCGS and only 7.
Well, it's 12, 18, 25.
Oh, 31. I see. Because there's 2 different types. That's why. Okay. So there's over 50 of these in the census, and there's still many to be certified out there. And we might have a few more coming in the near future. But it's just important to note that, demand remains strong for big trophy coins like this across the world, particularly in Asia. So, we're happy to, whenever we see them, and we're happy for our consignor for this great result as well.
Yeah. Though I don't want to give the impression that everything is up, everything's selling for record prices, everything is, roses. There were some areas where we saw a little bit of softness, right? So staying on the topic of British coins, where I saw a little bit of softness, and I spoke with some other dealers who agreed, is on AU and below 5 guineas.
Yeah,
that was
sliders.
That was a market that took off like crazy, 4 or 5 years ago. And so I pulled out a result that I sent to you, Tommy. Yeah, the 1753 AU 55. This is just a nice 5 guinea, 26,400. Scroll down to the previous prices grid on this one. Once this loads, what you're going to see in March of 2021, one in the same grade sold for 52,800. And then in January of 2021, one sold for 50,400.
Yeah.
And, so it wasn't just a one-shot, one-hit wonder, right? There were multiple prices of this coin in this grade selling for 50,000 plus. So what it tells me is that the market has come back down from that pandemic peak when we saw.
That is right. Yeah. January, March 2021.
Yeah.
That was the peak of the pandemic peak, or part of that.
Yeah.
And, if again, when we go into the slider grades, if we go into the 55s, the 53s, I mean, they become a little more, the comparison is a little broader because there's more variation within the grades. But, certainly off grade 5 guineas are, they're back to where really, we're talking about 10 years or 15 years ago. This will probably be a $5,000 coin.
Yeah. Scroll down on that.
In that condition, that isn't particularly attractive. I mean, it's a nice type.
In the previous prices grid, just scroll up a little bit.
See if we find an older one.
Yeah, you can see an AU55 sold in January 2017, 22,000, a 55 in 2012,
16,000.
16,000. So,
Okay.
I mean, this has still appreciated over time.
Yeah,
The market
yeah.
has come up, but going from in 2017, 22,000 to 2021, 4 years later, doubling in price, that was too much too quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think the market, this is, I think, classic market correction.
Yeah.
Right. It's coming back down to where it was. I think
for product, what we call product, which were these
they're
sliding
collectible
grades.
coins where they trade on a fairly thin margin usually.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you wanted an AU55 5 guinea, maybe it's not this particular date, but you can go get one pretty easily.
They're out there. They're available. Good.
There's one more result that I want to bring up in this on the ancient side is the Marcus Aurelius Aureus in Gem MS. And so stay on the top of this page. So this coin sold for 78,000, Gem MS, highest grade possible for ancients. Great result. Yeah. We actually sold this coin in 2016 for 28,200. So scroll down to the previous prices grid on this one, Tommy. I didn't give you the links in particular for this one, but you can just click on it there because there's something I want to illustrate. So this one sold for 78,000 now, and then there's a result for 28,200 all the way at the bottom there from August 2016. So click on that click on the link on that one. Yeah. Great. So this is that coin. And
already certified. So
it was already certified, graded Gem MS. Mm-hmm. And if you were to sign into the website, you can see that it's sold through our make offer to owner program for 45,000. So Tommy's not signed into the website to see that information, but it sold for 28,000 in August 2016. And there you go. There's the offer to date. That one was accepted. It resold for 45,000 through the make offer to owner program. So Cris, can you explain what Moto is?
Oh yeah, I love Moto. It's one of my favorite programs. Our partner Jim Halperin came up with this many years ago. It is a system where essentially, and there's some, I'll simplify for the time that we have here, but it's a system where people can make offers to the owners of the items that we have on our website, on our archive. So we're talking about coins. So if somebody buys a coin from us, they can make it available for offers or can set up price. I mean, there's all things that you can do. I mean, we can go into it in another conversation, but essentially people can receive offers on previous things that they purchased from us. And that's great feedback for many reasons. Some of these we actually close, like this one, where we complete a transaction, Heritage collects a small commission, and that transaction gets completed, and that resulted in, a great result for the first consignor or the first buyer of the coin that sold it for a profit, and then of course the person who bought it in 2021.
So then, even though this coin, there's only 2 results in our archives, we've actually sold it 3 times. Once through that first auction, again through make offer to owner, and then again through this auction here. And each time it sold for more than the last.
And I'm sure we'll see it again because I think a lot of these clients, most of our clients get so used to doing business with us and so comfortable that they tend to come back, of course. Yeah. So
all right. So do you want to move on and talk about the gold market?
Yeah, so we'll move on to the gold market. Of course, it's been quite explosive. I personally have been waiting for a correction now for some time that doesn't seem to be coming. Of course, this morning, inflation seems to be hit a little bit higher this morning again, which feeds into that drive that gold has been on.
I was looking this morning at different asset classes, and you look at the S&P 500, you look at Bitcoin, you look at all different stock indexes and different assets. Gold is the best performing asset year to date of any major
probably the first time in decades. That's true. But the thing that is important to note and how that impacts us, of course, coins are worth, you have shelf gains, what we call shelf gains. So if you own a bunch of Mexican 50 pesos, congratulations to you. Now they're worth a whole lot more than they were last month that there were last year, and that is true for any bullion related coins. What also happens is that when gold goes up a little too quick, it compresses the numismatic premium of coins. So you see a lot of coins that traditionally have significant premiums get pushed up. So an example that I used in my Latino collectors group yesterday was the Brazilian pesos, or the 6400s, the four escudos of Portugal, which are numismatic coins. I mean, they're coins from the 1660s, 1760s, 1780s, 1740s even. And those things are getting to levels, if they're not in those 55 or higher grades, where they just worth their melt value. So, even things that are 18th century and before are getting pushed. What happens is once, what I think will happen is once gold sort of sits and stabilizes on a certain level, how it has been in the last 30 or 40 years, then premiums tend to come back. And this is true also for US coins. We see in the 20s. I mean, essentially you can buy, certified $20 gold pieces in 63 now from essentially 1 or 2% over. So that's across the board.
Yeah, I pulled out one quick example we can run through for the gold coins, where we have a common 8 escudo, right? It's circulated condition, but still a collectible coin, sold for $22.21 just last week on February 6th. Scroll down to the description, Tommy. So just below the description, this is a feature we added just a couple of years ago. It shows you what the melt value was on the day of sale. So you can see that when this sold last Thursday, it melted for $21.73. And it sold for $22.21. So just about a $50 premium.
Yeah, it's like 2% to 3% over melt. So it's the premium there has disappeared.
Yeah. And then in 2020, we sold one in the same grade for $13.20. I think I sent you that link, Tommy. Yeah. $13.20, same coin, same grade, sold for $13.20. Let's see what it melted for then on that day of sale.
When was that? 2020?
Yeah, January 2020, I believe. It melted for $11.82. So that was about $140 premium versus a $50 premium.
Yeah, so 12-13% premium versus a 2 to 3% premium. This is really a valuable comparison that we're making, because, and then you also realize how gold was 15, we're about half of what it is now, nearly half of what it is now, 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. And so that's significant. I think that's something that you were just talking about, how the premiums compress, and it'll probably, once it stabilizes, go, readjust based on the rarity of the coin and the collectability of it. But gold fluctuates very quickly, and the market has a lag time before it catches up.
That's right. So, we'll keep watching this. This is, of course, affects us, but it's not something that we really can control. It's not that really changes, the price of gold, and people talk a lot about this, but the price of gold really doesn't change our day-to-day much, rather than, the modern gold showcases that we might direct things there,
right. or the example we just showed.
HGWs.
Yeah. The example we just showed with the price of gold, that probably shouldn't have gone into the auction, but we allocated it to sale, 3 or 4 weeks prior, when gold was 10% less, and gold's gone up in that interim. And so, now we know that if we get one of those coins in that condition, probably don't put it in the auction, because the premium's too small to warrant all the process involved.
All right. Well, great. We'll move on to cryptocurrency, physical cryptocurrency, which is something that we had a lot of fun with. Sale 3128, which this was part 3 of the Otto collection. I think, I know that, all of us at Heritage here have learned how to present these sales better from the first installment that we made. The Otto Consigner has been tremendous to work with. And, this sale specifically was a lot of fun. We had a lot of diversity in the sale, like you can see here from the different issues. We specifically for a lot, we have a lot here that we had, which was an ounce of gold. It's that second one, if you want to click on it. It sold for 168,000 there. Yeah, that. Okay, so that is an unfunded token Bitcoin token that is made of 1 ounce of gold. So it just intrinsic value of this item is $2,800, $2,900 now, and as it was the day of the auction, and it realizes 168,000. I think again, for the trophy aspect of it, or how important this item is and how iconic. It's also part of the Cassatius series, which is the
Right.
I guess the number one original issues of physical crypto. And it's the second one that we've sold. And I was impressed already with the previous price, which I believe, when was that, Sam? The previous?
We sold it last August.
So last August, I'm not, is that going to pop up there?
Yeah, it's not on the previous prices grid. I think it was a slightly different grade, so it didn't show up.
Yeah, but anyways, essentially the same item. It sold for about 55,000 there the first time it was sold. I was very impressed because, again, this is a token for 1 ounce of gold. And
it was intended to hold 1,000 Bitcoins. It was never funded. Now, actually, fun fact as an aside, this is a piece of bar trivia that I've used with, coin dealer friends at the New York International, for example, when we're out, after the show. What is the most valuable coin in the world? It's one of these.
Of course.
Yeah. Which most people
if this were funded, is this $10 million would have been 100 million. I lost a zero. Yeah.
2 or 3 funded ones out there
that are actually, you can check. There's there's a place that you can check. So with the key there on the coins, you can check. So you're saying that there's actually a few out there. There's still
that are funded.
Haven't been redeemed.
Exactly. And those would be the most valuable coins in the world, more so than the 1933 double eagle.
If you're holding one of these, call us. We have a proposal for you to bring it to auction. We'll put it on the cover.
Yeah. So it's interesting that we just talked about the gold market, because the cryptocurrency market actually has a lot of similarities to the gold market, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Tommy, pull up the next link that I sent you for the 1 Bitcoin. So yeah, this is a nice collectible silver loaded 1 Bitcoin produced in 2017 that sold for 114,000. So about a 10% premium. And we talk about physical crypto in the same sense that we talk about gold, where it's about the premium over the peel price or the spot price. And not surprisingly, the lower the amount of Bitcoin, the higher the premium. Just like if you have a kilo of gold versus a 1 ounce of gold, modern coin.
Or a 1/10 of an ounce.
Right. Yeah. It just brings more collectors in. It's a more competitive market. So compare this coin to the next one that I sent you, Tommy, for the, this one.
Well, I love these. These are the casino.
The poker chips, the BTCC Bitcoin China 0.001 Bitcoin is in this coin on the reverse.
So is that like $100 of Bitcoin?
Same day of the auction, it was $105. And you can see that this one sold for $2,400. So that's over a 2,000% premium.
How much of that do you think has to do with that MS70 grade?
Well, that's a good question. So we actually had a 69 in the same auction. The next lot, if you go navigate to the next lot in this auction, Tommy, So we had a 69 sell for 1920.
Still a significant premium. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, we jokingly call these like a Chuck E. Cheese token or something, but no, like this has 1 Bitcoin in it. It's peel price, the spot value is $105, just like this one's 105,000 because it's 1,000th more.
Yes.
Or 1,000 times the size. Yeah. Right. And so the premium compresses the higher up you go.
Yes.
It's great. It's really interesting. And
it's a very dynamic market. I mean, I'm always, lots of bidders. It's diluted bidding. It's not concentrated on a small group of people like a lot of these new markets are. So it's quite encouraging, I think, from the metric perspective for us to look at the bidding pool for physical crypto. I think it's has already become a sort of a one of those spotlight themes for us, and will continue to be for a long time, I think. Yeah.
And I think the more that we sell, the more established it's going to be. as a collectible. And we set up at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville last July. We'll be going back to the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas in May. We were asked to attend the Litecoin Summit that's happening concurrently, where I'll be giving a presentation there as well about these. Yeah. It's a really exciting new collectible, and the people have been very receptive to it. And we can see in the bidding list, just each time we offer more and more collectors.
Yeah, and involved. I think a lot of the crypto guys and the guys who come from this background, they have sort of this collecting bug or genetic defect or whatever you call it. But they seem to naturally then migrate into collecting other things, which is a great thing for all of us. Some of them are collecting actual coins, or sports cards or comic books and things like that. So it's, indeed great. In the beginning, of course, I'm personally, I was a little suspicious about this. I think as we all were, but I think fairly quickly we realized that, it's a very interesting area and a very high potential, and we're going to have lots of fun with it.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the market outlook for the coming year?
Yeah. So we're coming up. How long are we coming up here on time? We're about 46 minutes. So we're coming up to our conclusion here. But essentially, I think market outlook, I think one interesting topic that we could address, Sam, is that recently there was an announcement that the very traditional for me, very, participated in many of these, the Long Beach show that takes place 3 times a year at the Long Beach Convention Center. This show has been going on for decades. I've been personally attended it for over 25 years. That's going to be its last edition. It's going to be is it this week?
Next week.
So that show is closing. And, I think it's interesting to sort of look at these, at the format of this thing called a coin show and what it's going to look like going ahead post-pandemic, and with, so much of the activity moving from the bourse of the coin shows into the auctions simply because, you just get more money for the coins in the auctions. So, what does that look like? What does that look like going to the future? Is it these big convention centers? And I think the format of coin shows going ahead is a much more social format, is a relationship event where you're meeting people with the same interests, that you're exchanging experiences, that you're visiting museums, or you're, doing things outside the bourse. And maybe there is a little bourse too, but I think has become, it can never, it can't be sort of the center of the numismatic events as much as the experience that everybody who's attending. So you see like the numismatic event in Madrid that takes place that, our friends Jesus Vico and the team there organizes, or the International Association of Professional Numismatists has an event that's a social event every year, a different place. I mean, there's all these shows, the US Mex show in Scottsdale in Arizona. There's a show that our friend Andres is organizing in Colombia now that's more mixed with art and more of a museum experience. So I think this is sort of the direction that it's going, more thematic,
networking focused.
More networking, smaller bourse, more friends, and less business, because business now is done sight unseen. It's done online, and it's done all the time. It's not like, before, I remember like when I started coming to coin shows, I would save coins to bring to coin shows. So you would save for 2 or 3 months everything that you buy and the better stuff to bring to the coin show. You don't have to do that anymore. You just put it in the auction. Right. So that's what I think is already happening. So what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. We've been talking about this, and we've been seeing this trend over time in the coin market towards auctions. And that's in contrast to, say, the fine art market, which seems to have a trend away from auctions, more towards private sales. Yeah. I think that, you look at those sales, the sell-through rates aren't great. There's lots of reserves, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas the coin model, the model that Heritage has followed and has pushed on to other categories, has been no reserves. Everything sells, low estimates or no estimates. And that's, has resulted in higher prices, a more transparent and level playing field for collectors.
Just a better auction strategy for consigners overall.
Yeah, it's a better experience for buyers and consigners. And I think that's why the trend has been towards auctions. Yeah. And you're going to see that in shows like the Long Beach Expo closing after this one that's happening next week. And I think the events going forward will be increasingly on these networking events that have a business component to it. Yes, but it's more, academic and social, like the Madrid event, the US Mex event, the IAPN event you mentioned. I think we'll probably see more of those and less of the sort of big shows that, as you said, dealers save up their inventory for, expecting to have like a big sale there.
Yeah, agreed. Tommy, do we have any questions before we... Okay, a vault offering where customers can store their collections for a modest fee with Heritage would be wonderful. Collectors insurance is extremely expensive. That's a good one. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, Vlad, what I'm going to tell you is that if you are considering or if you're planning to sell it with us in the near future, we're glad to save or store your coins with us and cover insurance for a pretty long time. I mean, we have clients who would do that on a frequent basis, and I think I know what you're asking. The vault specifically, the vault, I think it's more complicated for us to go into as a business.
Logistics and tax implications and everything like that. But there are other companies that offer that. We've certainly had conversations about it and continue to have conversations about it. And so I think you hit the nail on the head that is a serious consideration, especially with, as we talked about with tariffs and VAT and stuff like that. Free ports are a big part of any of the fine art market.
Yes.
And so this is a somewhat similar approach for collectibles, the vaulting service.
Yeah. So any other questions? If not, videos would be great for coins. Grades are based on strike luster, surface mineral. Okay. So sure. Great. So we do have, for certain coins, we do have videos, and if there are any, that's a good one. That's a good example there. We have sort of a 360 or turning light video.
We're working on technology to improve that as well, to send it on a larger scale. Right now, we only do this for coins, I think, over $10,000 or so. But we're working on adding a better viewing experience for more coins that's better quality.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
All right. Well, if nothing else, Tommy, before we close, I just make a quick announcement that our friend and colleague Kyle Johnson will be joining me. Mr. Sam Spiegel is moving on to better and better, much better things here at Heritage. He's recently appointed the new deputy COO of the company. And so going forward, and maybe Sam will join us, be invited back here if Kyle and I are feeling like it. But Kyle Johnson, the head of World and Ancient Coins, will be joining me for the State of the Market events going forward. Kyle, we wish him great luck, best of luck in his new position, and he's going to do wonderful. He's a great guy, and he'll be here with me, and we chit-chatting about all things about the ancient and world coins and things like that. So we look forward to that. So, Sam, if no other considerations or comments, I will say so long to everybody. Happy bidding, happy collecting, and we'll see you guys out there on HA.com.